A
Is that what we're going for?
Well, I guess in that way, both of them win or both of them lose. But we're gonna frame it like both of them win today. But it is game one. We'll see who will take this one home. First ban is gonna be Karma coming out from Giant. Seeing that a bunch nowadays. One of the high priority bans and early picks as well. Vladimir is almost never seeing the light of day nowadays. He wins every game he's in there, and he's always taken away other than that.
Interestingly, Fnatic are one of the teams that have run Karma support a lot more than they've run it mid, because they haven't run it mid yet, which is the nice way that works. 5 games, though, they have run it support. 4 wins for them, so don't want to let them get their hands on that. We know Hustlin actually has a little bit different support priority. We've seen the Nautilus 3 times out for him in 3 games of Karma as well, so maybe a big hit now to Hustlin's champ pool.
True, it has been a while since we've seen the Nautilus, and he's kind of like hit or miss on the champion, despite that being his like solo queue special. But he has had some really good games on Braum as well, specifically yesterday. I was like, damn, Hustlin actually having some pretty good mechanics. Flash ultimates for the re-engages. Azir's going to be the final ban towards Febiven. Irelia aimed at Smitty, and also Rumble aimed at Smitty in the top lane.
Yeah, he's had some good games. 2 played, 2 wins coming from that. So Shen is available right now. The Bard is up that we've seen from a multitude of different players, although not Yellowstar yet, so at least not in Europe. We did see Yellowstar TSM play Bard, so wasn't too convinced on that. We'll see whether he brings it out for Fnatic.
That's true. Maybe Europe will help him put him back to form on that champion. But Nidalee going to be first pick for Giants, prioritizing that for Maxlaw. Gnar and Jin locked in for Fnatic. Jin's been doing really well recently.
He has. Reckless has only played 1 game on him, and it was a loss, so not really to take away too much on that. But I do like the setup for Fnatic already. Gamsu's on a champion that he can have big teamfight presence on, that can also carry a game almost single-handedly. So we'll see how their teamfight setup actually comes, because already 2 picks in, they got a good setup for it.
They do indeed. Seen actually a lot of those teams who are kind of middle of the pack, bottom of the table, who are running that Jin and actually executing it really well. Something where they can like stay at long range and don't have to think too much about positioning. Just can we hit the skill shot, yes or no? If yes, we just kill someone. So it works out really well in that case. Giants waiting for their next 2 pickups. Actually going to wait out the entire duration. Fnatic lock those 2 picks in very quickly. Thinking about their mid laner, shaking some hand warmers. And what's it going to be? I would like to see Braum again from Hustlin. I think he's really good on those tanky supports. It's really where Hustlin does indeed shine. And that's going to be locked in with the Swain. All right, so that could go top or mid. I would probably give it to Knight if anyone else.
Yeah, I think more likely to be going for Knight in that middle lane. This is the first game we're seeing from him on it. But again, you've just picked up 2 champions that I guess generally Jin's going to have a hard time breaking through with that ultimate. Swain's going to heal up a lot of it as he's surrounded by your allies. And Braum's just going to put up that shield. So we'll see how Giants can cope with the rest of what Fnatic have to offer. Still no jungle matchup picked up from Spirit yet. Into the Nidalee. Pretty much every jungler is available aside from the Olaf that we've seen coming out from Fnatic. So it's Spirit, so I don't realistically see him going too far down the Gragas route, although he has played a game of it. We saw Graves, I believe, yesterday coming out from him, which...
Thunderlords.
Yeah, big boom, but not a big win, because they got 2-0'd, so it didn't work too well for him.
I do like this pickup, though. Nami's going to be picked up into the bottom lane for Yellowstar, fine, but also Elise locked in for the jungle. Elise is one of those champions who doesn't get banned very often, but I was talking to Deficio yesterday, and it has like almost a 75% win rate coming into yesterday across like all the major regions. So no one bans it, but it's so good.
We're starting to see a couple more release bans come out here and there, and it's just being able to control the early game, and then you do have some sense of pick potential from the Cocoon, but one thing that Elise can be hindered by is a lack of crowd control. However, for Fnatic, that's a storyline we've talked about. I'm not so concerned in this setup. They have a Gnar, they have Elise, they have Nami. Okay, they're not the most reliable forms of crowd control, but you land that Nami ultimate into an area where you push people towards a Gnar or into an Elise Cocoon. Easy follow-up, easy team fighting.
Exactly, and Nami Jin is also a fantastic lane in itself, so we're going to be waiting on Giants in their final 2 pickups. They need an ADC, and they need either a top laner or a mid laner if they decide to flex the Swain to top lane. But Smitty J, he typically strikes me as a person who will be running something like an Irelia, something like a Trundle, And with them locking in Victor, he's probably not going to run Victor top lane. So that's going to be Swain for Smitty J. That's definitely something different for him in terms of playstyle. And Sunstar going to be picking away at the Ashe. And makes a lot of sense. I feel like Sunstar is performing better on utility ADCs.
Yes, I would agree with that. We have seen a couple of good games of Ashe coming out from Sunstar, and he started to make a little bit more of a name for himself. However, this top lane matchup, Swain into Na, I feel like until 6, Swain can't really get too much done there. And I mean, we already saw earlier Na building execution as calling, which isn't always the best way to go, but as soon as you get that very small item, it's just like, oh, you actually can't stand in lane against me anymore, and you're going to get chunked down. So we'll see if that ends up happening for Gamsu.
That is how that works. Waiting on this final pickup from Fnatic. They were hovering over Tilia, but unfortunately only seen that in Oceanic region and a couple places elsewhere. Not very often. Going to be the last pickup of Cassiopeia coming in for Fevman. Something we saw yesterday from Knight. Europe has not jumped on the Cassiopeia train in a big way compared to NA, for example, but starting to see that more and more now.
Yeah, and a lot of it is to do with the potency of the grounded ability. It's not the be-all, end-all of the kit, because obviously Cass is going to have high potency in team fights, going to have high damage as well, the crowd control that comes through it, but the grounded, if somebody like Maxwell jumps forward out of position, the same with Huston, they're going to get locked down. They're going to get taken out of a fight very quickly, and from there, Giants are going to have a numbers disadvantage. So I'm interested to now see how this game plays out, because Fnatic have very strong team fights if they can get that.
Yeah, luckily Giants do have some sort of long-range engage, not someone who has to just run at them and like an Olaf or like a Nar, so it's not going to be as bad that they've going to be up against this Cassiopeia here.
And they're also not just relying on the Swain too, is they're not like, well, if you can land a never move, we're going to start a fight. So they've got a good few options. Victor's always going to be good in team fights as well. Could be an explosive game.
It could be. How are you feeling about like the full composition though? Because actually just waiting for it to pop on that screen right there. But Fnatic, of course, now with this Cassiopeia coming into the mid lane. Jhin, Nami, really good synergy. So kind of bits and bobs. How do you think they're going to play out the game?
I'm not sure about the side lane is the only thing for me with the Swain. I think that's a matchup that unless Smitty J gets a little bit of help here, could end up backfiring, at least if the early game goes Gamsu's way.
Well, we're about to get into game and find the answers to those questions here, Stress, as we get into this one. Giants up against Fnatic in our final series of the day here in the arena. It's going to be the last one here, and we'll see how this one all pans out.
The caveat to that, though, is Smitty J, once he's got a few items, once he's got the resistances, realistically shouldn't die to Gamsu without Gamsu being significantly far ahead. So it's a matchup we don't see very often. I'm looking to those side lanes. The crowd are looking to Fnatic, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, chanting the entire name. Fantastic to hear. Got the crowd support coming. Fnatic got to be feeling good about that one. Literally, I can feel the ground beneath me shaking, so fans are out in full force today. It's been a long day as well, so these guys still full of energy, vim and vigor.
But the long day was in the other studio, the G2.
That's true, yeah.
I still don't know the result of that, so I'll figure that out later.
All right, no spoilers, but we did have a CS record being broken.
So I heard. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked that that happened.
But we didn't get the 1K dream. We were so close.
So close to 1K.
Yeah. Didn't happen, but we still have another chance. Giants Fnatic, fairly unlikely. I mean,
I kind of hope not.
Yeah, Origin were in the other studio, and that's how they've been playing out their games. But these two teams have not been in the same way. Giants have been way more active in the early and mid game.
Triple Deathfire touch. Well, I mean, one on one side, two on the other.
Not from
going
one team.
for it. So everybody's like, get the dots, get them all.
Did you see if Reckless got the Deathfire?
Yes, Reckless is running Deathfire touch. He's not running the Thunderlords that we've seen a couple of people running on Jhin. Get that, the combo damage rather than the later game hit from the ult.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were having a conversation about it yesterday, and there's a point in the game where Deathfire Touch, of course, later into the game is better in terms of overall DPS, but early mid-game, Thunderlord actually does more damage. So it's up to you on how you want to play it. Reckless, of course, going further into the game when he has more AD, and that's when you will start hurting more. Sunstar was actually running Thunderlords yesterday, so you can already see a stark contrast between these two players and their preferences.
Yeah, it's always an interesting one because looking at this, like Reckless and Yellowstar know that they're going to have some sense of lane advantage right now with the sustain plus the trading that is going to come naturally from having the Jhin. plus, of course, when Tycaller's Blessing comes out. So kind of interesting they don't want to compound, perhaps, or extend that trading advantage with Thunderlords, but, you know, that's the kind of back and forth we'll be seeing time and time again.
Yes, indeed. So standard lanes here, 2 versus 2, 1 versus 1. Good to see. We've had so many lane swaps recently in the European LCS where everyone's just like takes a tower and takes another tower and then doesn't really do anything for a large portion of the early game. But also, we have a mountain dragon as our first dragon, so probably will be more interaction around that in the early game compared to a cloud dragon.
You'd think that.
Cloud dragon.
Bubble lands into the W, good combo. Chain is damage done, comes out onto Sunstar. You'd think that we just had a Mountain Dragon game that it didn't get taken for like 16, 17 minutes, so... Oh, Yellow Star, gotta be careful!
Did not want to step into that bush. Maxlaw is gonna chase after him. He's got the full damage coming in from Husband and Sunstar as well. Long range support out from Reckless, but it's not gonna be enough. Sunstar is gonna come in with first blood.
Yeah, it goes over to Sunstar, and I like the pathing from Maxlaw here. Early birthday present is given over to Maxlaw and the rest of his team there. So what they did was, Maxlaw even steals away the crab.
Oh, it's all coming up.
Nice.
For
nice.
Maxlaw in this game.
What happened there was because Reckless and Yellow Star are pushing in the bottom lane, they're forced to ward that tri-bush, because if they don't, that's when Maxlaw comes down into the lane. It was just convenient timing. Maxlaw spots out Yellow Star as the ward goes down. They know the timing on it. They get the kill.
Who did I even go over to? We saw Smite come down. Maxlaw smited. Spirit didn't get the smite down in time, and Maxlaw's getting everything. Gangster bottom lane, gets a kill, takes away the crab, takes away the blue buff from the Spirit. Spirit's not having a very good birthday so far, gotta be honest. 12 CS, and he is already down in gold against Maxlaw. We'll see if he can keep up the pressure, of course, on that Nidalee. Going into the mid lane now, haven't even spoken about these guys yet. Featherman versus Knight. Knight was running Cassiopeia yesterday, and I was just like, man, I want to see a highlight clip come out from him, because we were super hyped about Knight coming in. It was just like, did you see that clip, the 3-man outplay on Cassiopeia? And then he missed 2 ultimates in the end of the game, and I was like, ah.
Especially Vedius. There is one other thing, though, about Cassiopeia's. We saw one in Challenger this past week. And I think the biggest thing for me when watching Cassiopeia is that you have to almost treat it in the way it plays around the lane, like an Azir, in the sense that you do not want Cassiopeia on your side. If you're not running TP, which you're not running, you don't want that champion out in the side, because the time it takes to group is inefficient for the rest of the team. And we saw in Challenger time and time again, teams misallocating lanes. Putting the Cassiopeia in, what's the surprise? Everybody else in the rest of my team gets engaged upon 5v4 and they lose, because you don't have your team fight there. So I don't think Fnatic will do that, but I'm watching for areas that Fnatic could slip with some of their lane assignments.
I think it's good to keep an eye on, but I personally have more faith in Fnatic. I think it's an ongoing theme in Challenger where lane assignment seems to be a thing, but here in the LCS, I have faith in you, Fnatic, so don't let me down. We'll monitor that as we get through this game. Maxlaw is going to wander into this top side, just place down a ward for Smitty J, and Spirit is also up to the top side, so we'll see if we get an interaction. Spirit's going to take away his Krugs, while Maxwell's looking for the invade. Does he have he has one more ward in his Cracker's Knife, so he can place that down if he wants to. He pings towards the Raptors. Alright, he's just going to place that ward there. So he's covered both jungle entrances on the top side.
So I was anticipating that perhaps Gamsu might have the better early game here against Smitty J, but it's actually Smitty J has come out even. Sunstar gets bubbled, no follow-up. It's actually come out even, and Smitty J has just got a very minor experience lead. So this isn't a matchup that here in Europe we've seen all that much. So it's one we'll monitor, and if we see it again, maybe we'll see exactly how that goes.
Pretty much. That's why I really like to see standard lane games, because we can actually see the matchups and how they pan out. Because I was like, I was really hyped for a Trundle Shen matchup, and then lane swapped. And I was like, well, okay. Yeah, Nara in the top lane up against Swain. Seems to be going fairly even so far. And also with the pot already being burnt from a Gamsu, I think like Smitty's getting the better of that for now. See trades back and forth in the bottom lane, not really resulting in too much. A lot of good bubbles out from Yellowstar. And then, of course, you get the long range Deadly Flourish from Reckless. And then it all kind of peters off and they both farm again. Maxwell came into the bottom lane looking for a gank, failed out the ward, and he'll go back now. So not going to be any action down there for the time being. And Spirit, there's no Nidalee to take away his crap this time, so
he's finally got this one.
He'll get away with dinner.
Going to be able to get that. You can see as soon as Spirit is tending towards the middle lane, Febivan plays on that side of the lane, drops down around the pink ward. Febby baiting Knight out. Come on, Knight, don't fall for that. Oh, he's not falling for it, thank goodness. You can see the miasma spat out there. No flashing off that, of course. So for Knight, it would have been problematic.
is the do not flash line. You cannot flash away, you cannot TP. You can interrupt TP as well with that thing. It's got a lot of interesting interactions, but like some interactions that you'd think it would like work against, like a Vi could like queue for it. Like once a dash has already started outside of miasma,
you go
through it, yeah.
But it's like, you also can't TF ult off it, right?
Correct.
If I heard you guys in the office correctly.
Can't
Some
TF
really
ult
weird
it.
ones.
I mean, the ones that are like more relevant is obviously the Summoner Spell TP.
Yes.
So you can't TP off it, and you get interrupted if you're in a durational channel.
The most relevant for this game, perhaps, though, is going to be the big one, Flash, because you combo the Cassiopeia with the Na, the ultimate. You just push them all back towards your team. Suddenly they can't really do too much. You get a wallop landing on multiple people. That's what Fnatic are looking for with that combo, and if they can pull it off, it's going to be a very deadly setup. And Feberman is already on his ways. Down in lane, though. You can see down in lane in farm, but a lot of that is that Knight stuck around after Febby recalled.
Also, there's a minion wave at his tower, so it's not going to be as
exactly.
bad in a couple of seconds. But yes, he is still down for sure. Yellowstar is in his own jungle, placing down wards. They see Maxer and Huston invade, but with the help of Knight as well, and with Spirit going back to base and only walking to his jungle now, Fnatic are finding it hard to contest, and indeed won't at all. Also clearing out a pink ward very deep into the jungle. Maxwell's been playing around the map very well with his team. They've really been looking for chances to get into the opposing jungle, cause some ruckus, and Spirit in 1-on-2 here. Needs to be a little bit careful as the spear lands. Coming with the repel. I mean, like, Knight's coming in. He's going to have to burn Flash. Ward over the wall will catch him. Yellowstar was only just roaming up, so constant pressure by Maxwell, really just limiting the resources and anything that Spirit can do early game.
Yeah, it's actually been fairly impressive from Maxlow this game, the way he's kind of run Spirit around the jungle in the early game. Yesterday we were talking back and forth on perhaps Maxlow's performance in game one. Spoilers, I voted for him as my player of the game, so I'm maybe singing his praises a little to make up for that, but I've liked his pathing in the early game. Exploiting Yellowstar trying to ward was a very good setup for Giants to start this game off.
It's actually funny because yesterday when we had Maxlaw and Sunstar as well, it was like we gave play of the game to Sunstar, and it was just like, actually, he probably got most of his kills, if in fact all of them were set up by Maxlaw. Like, he was constantly landing like the Prey Seekers for like the Jhin follow-up. Yeah, sorry about that, Max. Maybe this game.
Maybe. It's,
there you go. We can't just give him everything just because it's his birthday, but so far he's done very well in this game to shut Spirit down.
It's interesting, right, though, because when we looked at the player of the game leaderboard, I was just like, oh man, we've given it so many junglers as well. Not that that's an issue, because I feel like a lot of the games right now have been decided by the junglers in the early game, but I'm always now trying to think of like, how is the total impact on the whole, the rest of the game and everything like that, so that it doesn't always swing towards, hey, somebody ganked somebody early, and that won them the game.
But there's multiple layers, right? Like, you can give it to the guy who had the sick 5-man play and kills everybody, but then you look at who set up the play, then you give it to them, but then you look at who set them up for success earlier in the game, who happens to be the jungler. So it's like, how deep do you go?
Pulse, this is why smarter people than us, I'm sorry, I'm grouping you with me on this,
okay.
wrote up an article, it's on LoL eSports, about how MVP is going to be awarded based off player of the game. So you can check that out at your leisure, LoL eSports.
Top tier plug.
Details everything you need to know. So we'll see who can get some extra basis onto that MVP award for this game, so you can be player of the game. Yellowstar maybe getting caught a second time would hinder that.
But all the CC in the world. Ash out from nowhere. Oh, he did not want to be there right now. Maxlaw will take down the birthday boy. That's another kill over to Giants. And Yellowstar will dodge the final javelin, but Giants, what a control over this early game.
Much better out of Giants than previous weeks, and honestly, I feel like we can say that again about their games yesterday as well. It's been a big turnaround for this lineup when, you know, weeks 1 and 2, we were sat there thinking, well, okay, Giants, it's a bit of a mismatch of a roster. We're not sure what to make of it. Now they've had a couple of weeks to settle, and they genuinely are playing a lot better than we've seen from them. They're still making mistakes, but at the same time, it's like a level above where we've seen the team really be in quite a while.
I actually think over the last couple of weeks, we've seen more and more teams separate themselves from the pack. We speak so much about like bottom 7, top 3, but let's take a look at this play once more. Spirit just turns the corner and is like, actually, didn't want to be here.
Yeah, just in this very small gap, Spirit didn't have the vision to be able to spot that arrow coming in, hit some square in the face. And that's all she wrote for that. And there we go. Wondering whether it was coming out. Gamsu Very, very early execution is calling.
I mean, it makes sense, right? You're laning against the Swain. You have Maxer on the other team with Nidalee. Spirit just lost a third of his health through a Javelin. And now he's just trying to get out of here alive. Javelin doesn't land, the second one at least. Knight's following after. Look at the damage from the Chaos Storm. And Spirit's going to die again to Maxlaw. This is going horrifically for Spirit in the early game.
Yeah, this has not been a good start at all for Fnatic. And we were speaking about how, you know, the strength of their composition is going to be from when they're grouping. What Giants have done very early on is pick them off when they're on their own. They haven't been able to group. They're not at that point of the game yet. And it makes it very difficult for Fnatic actually to now decide to make plays out on the map, because Spirit is going to constantly be afraid of where Maxlaw is. Maxlaw's already got himself a level advantage right now, has 2 kills as well and is up on farm, so it's a good spot to be in for Maxlaw and Giants. I'm very impressed by the beginning of this.
So far in this game, Spirit has dealt 700 damage to champions 13 minutes in, and Maxlaw has done 2,600. So you can already see the impact in the early mid-game from these 2 junglers. Hopefully Spirit can do a little more as we get towards mid-game, but we're talking in champion select how Eliza's this like early game champion looking to set up kills, looking to set up ganks with Cocoon, but as soon as he steps into his jungle or out of his jungle, Maxwell's just there to greet him, and then he just dies.
You jinxed it by being like, hey man, so many people are winning on Elise.
Yep.
She's got like a nearly 80% win rate. It's so good. Nobody's banned it, and suddenly well,
that's how statistics work, right? There's still a 20% chance that it goes pretty badly.
I like that Giants took the Nidalee away as well, because Fnatic were like, oh, maybe they'll take something else. We haven't banned a few things, so maybe they'll let us have it on first rotation. Giants say, nope, give us that. Maxwell's going to beat you around the jungle with it.
I was going to comment on that as well, because I was like, interesting, first pick Nidalee, because they put really high priority on the gym pickup for Sunstar, because that's the champion he's really shone most on. But they let it go over to Fnatic, and they first picked for Nidalee. I can see why.
I mean, also just the denial from Spirit too, because Spirit has had some monster games. Everybody in all the comment threads are like, why would you let Spirit have Nidalee? Why? And Giants clearly read that. So, or whether they just were like, yeah, we've seen that he's good. I don't know whether Reddit really is that influential on pick and bans for professional teams. Yeah,
it's just like, all right, guys, everyone gets in the conference room. It's like, pick some bans, loads up Reddit. It's like, what are people saying this week?
Apparently, we're playing Scion support. Marco's like, lock it, go for
Ship it.
TP's coming in, though. Giants could be caught.
Reckless opening up with the ultimate, quickly going to be stopped by Sunstar. Great ultimate in return from him. Huston, fantastic. Glacial Fissure will force Fnatic to back off, and while everyone in the game will converge on the bottom side of the map, everyone peters out, backs away, carries on farming.
Nobody dies.
Nobody dies. That almost escalated into a full-blown fight, but there was so much slow and zoning that no one could actually approach the other team.
Yeah, it was right in that little catwalk area, so things like the Nami ult, the Braum ult is going to hit multiple people, and what it meant is you just had disengage on both sides and everybody walks away. Huston wants to go in on Reckless here.
And Breakball comes up, Sunstar's going to follow after. He's low on mana, but Yellowstar, he is down! Oh, Hustlin will have to flash away, but Maxwell coming into the bottom lane now. Yeah, that almost went really badly for Huston. As soon as the shield came down, he just took so much damage.
Yeah, and Yellowstar even getting the exhaust down on Sunstar and Hustlin in that exchange meant that what looked to be a catch onto Yellowstar turns around actually in Fnatic's favor, forcing more out of Hustlin. Only one summoner left on the side of Giants in their bottom lane. That is the flash from Ashe. As Giants, they still have a lead in this. It's a significant lead as well when you look at it.
Yeah, 16 minutes in and having 3,000 gold is really very, very significant. Almost approaching a full legendary tier item.
And you know, I was wondering whether yesterday's setup for Fnatic was a tough series against G2 because G2 had scouted efficiently and therefore, you know, caught the play where they exploit Gamsu pushing up. Maybe I'm a little on the other side of that now, because I was thinking, okay, well, Fnatic is still at a good level. They just had 2 games that kind of tipped away from them very early on, and this would be a third for the week if it's decided by these early game fights that put Fnatic behind and they can't get back into it. That actually does become a little more worrying. Yellowstar getting caught again, but he's fine for now.
I'm not sure about that,
He has the flash.
But the javelin from Maxlaw, takedown, flash away.
I was going to say he had Reckless and Featherman over in the middle lane who would surely come across, but they leave him out to dry.
Well, yeah. I mean, Nami doesn't really want to be in a place without water, and just got completely wrecked. I mean, Sunstar's going to take the bottom lane tower because there's no one defending it now since Yellow Star died and Reckless is mid lane. This is just all going well for Giants. It's going too well, I feel, for Giants.
Too well.
Yeah.
Stop having a lead now.
Yeah.
So you're not going by the script at this point. But for Giants, honestly, they've had a great start. And how this will transition now is that Fnatic, they're going to have to somehow give farm to both Cassiopeia and Jhin. And you can't really do that from one lane. That's not going to be efficient, while Gamsu's over on the other side. Still, Gamsu in about an even setting. Knight is out-farming Febiven in this matchup, which is, I guess, maybe somewhat to be expected. In the Victor matchup, farms very easily. Cassio can very rarely actually punish him without Victor overextending. But still, this is just a situation that Fnatic are going to have to team fight their way out of. Nice attempt. Had the ward on Febiven. Didn't manage to catch him. Ash arrow's down, but it's a low cooldown.
It's fine. And the games have now ended on stream 2, so welcome to everyone now joining us here on stream 1. We're 18 minutes in, and Giants going up against Fnatic, who have a massive lead, by the way. 6,000 gold, or 5,000 gold, and now picking up a Mountain Dragon. And this early game has been so good for Giants, and also contrasted by the fact that Fnatic have made a lot of mistakes as well.
Yeah, now SmittyJ and Gamsu going to trade. Here's the Executioner's calling at work.
Yeah, the Hyper is allowing Gamsu to keep on top of Smitty, and as he was getting towards Mega Form, Smitty will just have to flash away that he doesn't face the full wrath of Meganar. So Gamsu getting ahead in this matchup in that small trade there.
Yeah, and that's how this is going to go time and time again now, because SmittyJ, he can try and stack armor as well, but between Hyper and the offensive itemization that Gamsu's going to have, it's going to be a tough cookie to crack up in that top lane. But for those of you, as you said, that have just joined us, good early plays by Giants set the stage for this. Catching Yellow Star while he was going to ward defensively in a Tribush bottom side was a really good start to the game for Giants. And Maxlow has been all over Spirit in the jungle too. Ooh, Reckless.
Yeah, Glitch with Fisher,
Flash.
He'll get away. Nice, nice summoner spell burn. I have a question for you, Stress. How do you crack a cookie?
You just break it.
You just break it? But then you're like breaking a cookie. I feel like you're mixing metaphors. You would like crack an egg or like you break a cookie. But you know.
Hey, I'll crack you in a minute if you don't pipe down.
Fair enough, Stress. All right, fair enough.
That's my look. If I get undone by that, I'm just going to turn into rage. And
Rage. You'll go full Meganar on me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll be SmittyJ. Yeah. SmittyJ, though, I've been pretty impressed by. Oh, goodbye, Rift Herald. He'll be leaving us now as Stream 2 joins us. But SmittyJ has had some really good games. In the games that Giants win, he's usually a large part of that on these side lane carries like Trundle, like Aurelia. Swain is a little bit different, but giving it to someone who is such an influential part of their wins is pretty interesting. But it's actually Maxlow who's really taken the limelight this game.
It has, and honestly, top lane's been very quiet because Gamsu and SmittyJ have just been farming themselves up. As we said, like I was kind of expecting a little more presence from Nar early, but now he certainly has that against SmittyJ. Although Zhonya's Hourglass has come out, neutralizes some of the time in mini Nar. Spirit is trying to counter jungle, but is running right into Maxlore again.
This is a case of do not want. Spirit is running away. Luckily, Yellowstar is there to catch him this time, and he runs towards Reckless, so he's safe for now. That was almost another instance of him being picked up by Maxwell. 3-0-1, 120 farm, takes away the red buff. He's going to walk right past the ward. They're trying to get in range, I guess, of the bottom lane, but there's 3 people there and only SmittyJ, so he'll back off of that ward. That's going to be fine.
I like what Giants are doing, though. They've now put their duo lane, or at least Ashe for the time being, or the last minute, in the mid lane, trying to engage on Febiven, try and punish him for being fairly low mobility this early on. Does have Flash, does have Ghost, so it's not really going to be the end of Febiven unless he really misplays fairly hard. But Maxwell's coming in from the side here. It's a big group.
Febiven is just locked in place, and after the first bit of CC landed, he was not going anywhere. Giants converge on the mid lane, take down Febiven, take down mid turret.
Well, we were talking about it shouldn't backfire on Febiven unless he misplays. He misplayed by the fact that he wasn't expecting 4 people to come mid lane for him, and they didn't have vision of Maxlow. They didn't have vision of, I believe, Sunstar as he was in the back of the lane. There was an Ash Arrow involved in that setup, so Giants have just played a great defensive game and reacted offensively when they've needed to. We're going to see the setup for this as well. So Hustlin's off the map, Maxlow's off the map, Knight is pushing forward, Sunstar wasn't there either, and Febiven just gets caught. He's not running cleanse in this matchup, and he dies under the tower. Fairly straightforward. Giants, we kind of had the inkling that was where they were going. Febiven didn't seem to read it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, even if he did have cleanse there, he was probably still dead. There's like a Victoral right on top of him. He was a little way away from the wall.
Yeah, perhaps. Cleansing to flash over the wall, I think, barely may have got him out, but certainly he loses everything we lose in mid-tower anyway.
Yeah.
So he, this point, saves his summoners.
Yes, there we go. Silver linings. There we go.
Silver linings, great. For the record, I still think that is the majority benefit to Giants. Somebody's going to be like, man, Stress is so biased towards Fnatic. Do they get Featherman in the middle lane and all he can talk about is how the summoners are so
Someone is literally typing that right now. And it's like, damn it, I have to delete. Called himself out. Unbelievable. 23 minutes into the game. Pause for a second. Arrow will be flashed out of the way by Yellowstar. And another flash from Spirit. No matter what Giants do in this game, they just walk up to Fnatic and Fnatic just like poop themselves and click all their buttons and have to lose all their summoners.
But this is the other half of that is Fnatic running a composition that wants to group. At this point, they're getting picked apart still when they're not together. And that makes it very difficult to make the decision to go and group. This may be, I don't want to say an overstep, because look at the vision control. It's dying very quickly, and Fnatic can't actually go through their own jungle to defend. So this is a great read out by Giants. Fnatic can't get there in time. That's a Baron going over to Giants. And I don't want to jinx it, but Giants 23.5 minutes in are at a perfect game point against Fnatic right now. I don't think it'll end that way because Fnatic's teamfight composition, but Giants in 24 minutes have not given Fnatic a thing.
This is unbelievable. Third Mountain Dragon is on the board, and I mean, when you're trying to snowball a game, getting 2 Mountain Dragons means they were able to easily pick up 2 towers in the mid lane with just enough time, then go for a very fast Baron. This third Dragon will probably be theirs as well, because I don't see what Fnatic are going to do in terms of contesting it. They have one ward around there, which is that pink ward, and are not looking to set up with 20 seconds left on the timer. I think this is just another objective to Giants. And honestly, Stress, explain to me what is going on, because Giants, they've solidly been in like the bottom kind of 7 big pack, and Fnatic, we were saying, is this top tier team with G2 and H2K have also been slumping. So what's going on?
Oh, well, what's going on now is Smitty J is getting caught, but he is tanky. There's 3 people up here for him.
All right, Smitty versus 3, but Reckless is out of range, Yellowstar's out of range, and Spirit doesn't want to be here, so he'll back away.
Max is going to solo Dragon. The rest of Giants are going to try and take bottom tower at the same time. I wonder, and this is, just for the record, this isn't to give an excuse.
Okay, noted.
There is no reason that Fnatic should really be losing this hard. It's possible they put a lot of their prep into G2. When you look at the lineups for the week, a lot of teams will go, okay, this is our main matchup we have to prep for. It's possible they did that against Giants, and Giants are just catching them by complete surprise, because maybe Fnatic are buying into the same thing that we were thinking of Giants over the last few weeks, where we're like, oh, well, Giants, they're not really at this level. No, Giants are at this level right now. We're seeing a good start to the game from Giants, and it's gone from Maxwell having the presence early into now having 3 Mountain Drakes. They're going to be able to kill anything they touch that's an objective so insanely quickly. And Fnatic won't be able to respond because they can't group effectively yet.
It's ridiculous. I almost feel like Giants have just kind of come out of nowhere, because they picked up those 2-0 wins kind of early on to the split, then pick up the 2-0 yesterday, and they're looking fantastic against Fnatic right now. 5-0, and you're right, they are on track for a perfect game. So what do Fnatic need to do right now? Because they've been caught with their pants down multiple times. Kind of alone. Spirit has been a big offender. Yellowstar as well, trying to salvage something in terms of vision.
They need to utilize their team composition. Bring Gamsu into a team fight. Get all of your tools working together, where Reckless is able to utilize his ultimate. You know, Fnatic are getting fairly strong on certain champions here. Featherman is past 2 items, looking for his 3rd now. He's down heavily in farm at the same time, but there's always going to be that potency in the fights. Get a multi-person Gnar ultimate, get a multi-person Featherman lockdown, and maybe they can still turn the fight around, but honestly, they're very quickly losing control of this game. It is a 10,000 gold advantage for Giants. This is the kind of lead that Giants should not let slip away from them.
I mean, at this stage as well, it's pretty nice for them, because it's very easy to know what to go for next. Like, Dragon was spawning, go Dragon. Top lane tower is the only inner turret remaining, go top turret. And Fnatic, yes, they know where Giants are going to go for because it's so obvious, but they can't do anything.
Yeah, Fnatic is so far back in their base now that all Giants have to do is not step on Miasma at that point, and suddenly, oh, well, we're not actually in danger of getting engaged upon. So this is a very clean, clinical play from Giants overall. Baron buff has expired for them for now, which means they don't quite have the same pushing power. But now they're going to try and kind of rotate out towards the bottom side, maybe punish Gamsu or Spirit.
Spirit will find Maxtor, maybe the other way around. I can't tell just yet as Rekkles comes in. He's going to open up with Curtain Call. Hudson is under fire, but Maxtor's going to fall first. Maybe the turning point for Fnatic. No perfect game for you guys right now. And Fevin with a follow-up, but great ultimate by Sunstar. Will save the support's life. Big ultimate coming in from Victor will detonate Feathervin. Knight being caught in place now as he is behind the team, but Gamsu simply doesn't have the damage and will be zapped down by Knight. 2-on-1 trade. Giants actually come out with the advantage.
And it's a good decision by Knight in that scenario. He knows Fnatic cannot take a fight on two fronts. So he comes from the top side with the damage, gets rid of one of the damage threats from Fnatic, and that cracks the inhibitor now. It doesn't matter about perfect game. Giants won't even care about that. All they'll care about is this is their game to close out.
Taking an inhib as well, just getting towards the horizon of 28 minutes. Triple Earth Dragon. Now the next one's going to be Cloud, and honestly, they don't really care what's coming up next because triple Earth Dragon to snowball a game is absolutely fine in anyone's book. And what are they doing in terms of items right now? Because double Rylai's, also double Zhonya's Hourglass, and even with the triple AP threat and Sunstar going utility, you can't even get to the stage where you can itemize against it just yet.
So Max gets a little caught just because of the fact that, again, look, Victor on the top side, no TP, can't group with the rest of his team. So Fnatic, of course, they try and chase this, but Knight coming down is going to break Fnatic because Feathervin at this point realizes he has to deal with Knight. He has to stun him so that the damage doesn't follow through, but he's too late. Knight ends up picking up the kill, and from there, Giants can easily clean everybody up. Look, Smitty J is still full health at the end of this team fight. He's regened anything he lost there because nobody can shut him down. Gamsu cannot afford to put auto attacks onto Smitty J in these fights because they need to take out the damage first.
I mean, I like the theory coming out there for Fevin, trying to get in range and jump down the Miasma so Knight can't flash away, but he was out of range. I mean, Miasma doesn't have a long range. And with that flank coming in from Knight as well, it was just inventive. Giants are just doing so many things that we haven't seen Giants do before. They're playing well in terms of the macro game, they're playing well in the early game, playing well in terms of mechanics, inventively thinking of ways to get into a fight, look for these flanks.
And I think that the interesting thing there is they've started to do it over the last couple of weeks, but they haven't put every piece together. And I think finally we're starting to see a game where Sunstar and Hustlin are playing at the same kind of level that we've been commending Knight, Maxlor, and Smitty J for. We were joking about the Trinity in the top side of the map. Giants actually look like a much better, well-oiled machine in this setting as a five-man stack, which is impressive.
They've evolved from a triangle to a pentagon, and they're looking way better now. So, yeah, 5 sides better than 3, apparently. Knight and Sunstar are just tag-teaming up in the jungle. Look at the vision control as well from Giants. I mean, do Fnatic even have one ward in that jungle? They have one, okay. They have that, but Gamsu is an awkward position for him to TP into if he wants it. Now he's in a 1v1 deathmatch with Smitty J. I'm very interested to see who wins. I'm going to give it to Swain right now, currently, but Gamsu's going Mega Form.
Cutting the healing as well.
Is it in range for the Nara ultimate? No, he's going to shove him away. Torment was eating Gamsu up. And Baron is live, Stress. 30 minutes into this game. Fnatic probably want to try and contest this.
Smitty J did just use his Zhonya's though, so next fight he's going to be in a little more trouble. Fnatic are going to come to contest here. Smitty J TPing in early, he's TPing before Gamsu, and Gamsu is not Mega Gnar, but look, Smitty J's only half health here. This is a bit of a precarious position to be in.
He's still zoning. Crab's going to be under fire now as Giants back away from the Baron. Smitty J is still doing warding duties, trying to ward Fnatic away. They will back off for now. So Fnatic have successfully stopped Giants from taking the Baron temporarily.
Or Spirit has a Banshees, so Maxlor can't really punish him too hard for that. But TP traded. May not actually be as even as you would anticipate because with the inhibitor being down, Fnatic have to maintain control of this middle lane, which once again allows Giants to drop off the map, get in towards that Baron pit, and they're actually starting it already. So now Fnatic, they're going to have Mega Gnar at the same time, though. This is a dangerous spot for Giants rushing this down.
Gamsu, he's very close. He doesn't have flash, though. He's going to have to hop in. It will be a one-way trip if this goes south. Spirit's dead already. He can't get the smite down, and it will be Maxlor securing the Baron. Gamsu jumped in, pops the ultimate, but he's dead before the animation finishes. Yellow Star is going to have to flash away. Featherman will put down a defensive ult as cover fire to try and save his Nami. Maxlor going a little too deep, and he'll pay for that for his life, but honestly, Giants not going to be too unhappy, and the fan support in the crowd, Fnatic, they got that one kill, cheer for that one, but unfortunately, Fnatic are not in a good position, my friends.
It's not looking good for the game. Giants stopping just shy of about 2,000 means that Spirit was never going to be able to get in there to get the steal off. Knight decides he wants a little bit of extra movement speed to try and close this game out. You know, that is the difference when you have a 14,000 gold lead. Cloud Drake getting one of them on top of your 3 mountains.
Yep.
I mean, the other side of that is, if Giants now don't feel confident at closing this, he has now put the timer on Elder Drake. So here's the stop at 2,300. Spirit goes down. Giants are able to take him out, and Gamsu just about barely gets an ult, but Maxlaw didn't seem too phased by it at that point. Had the Zhonya's Hourglass, so when the shove came around, kind of just hit that and was okay.
Yep.
Then goes a little...
Yeah, his entire team had backed off, went to mid lane, was recalling, and was like, I can get more 1v3.
He's been a bit Larry on his birthday.
Yeah.
Couple too many drinks.
He's allowed to. But Gamsu and Reckless going to go for this 2 versus 1 against Smitty. Going to go into Zion's, but Yalistar coming in as the cavalry. Gamsu into the ultimate, the wallop, the CC chain, but there's a Guardian Angel as well, and Smitty, he just refuses to die. Spirit's going to come up, rest of Giants are going to come out, but unfortunately not able to save Private Smitty J on this one. Giants are looking to back away, but double bubble out from Yalistar, opening up with the ultimate. Last one's going to land onto Maxwell. Spirit backs away with Gamsu, but a lot of these Fnatic members are low. Giants are in fighting shape. They might still be able to go for this fight. Sunstar is putting damage onto Spirit with that volley, and Fnatic are now separated, with Knight looking to close in around this triple man stack. Knight, he doesn't have the ultimate anymore, and the Glacial Fissure will again split up the fight. Featherman will drop, Yastar goes down. Knight looking for a third onto Records. He'll find it with the Q. Double kill to Knight. And Fnatic are collapsing.
They're collapsing, and Giants still have the Baron buff. They've got 40 seconds on Featherman, 30 on Yellowstar. They may very well just look to end this game here. They're going to get double inhibs at a minimum.
Look how fast that tower is dying. It's like it wasn't even there. Onto the inhibitor. Gamsu doesn't have the ultimate. He's not in mega form just yet. Spirit, he's in high health, but I mean, he's got no team there really, and these towers are dropping like flies right now. Giants are probably going to take the safe route out, just take another inhibitor. They've dealt what is basically a mortal blow to Fnatic, and now they'll back away with a lot of gold in their pockets.
Yeah, just no minions left on the top side, really. Only 3 in the pack was not enough to allow Giants to end. I think they were just not wanting to rush it in case they got delayed for long enough that Gamsu got enough damage out and set up Featherman and Reckless, and then you end up in one of those situations where Fnatic end up rushing down and getting a whole lot. Fnatic have not taken a single tower in 35 minutes of gameplay against Giants here. This has been all Giants since the very beginning of this, and Smitty J, he absorbs 3 people's worth of attention in this. Gamsu drops so low, despite cutting through the healing of Smitty J. You can see finally ends up getting him after the GA, but for Fnatic, this has got to be one where you've got to look at what went exactly wrong for them, and honestly, just Maxlaw out-jungling Spirit time and time again.
Giants had enough time to go from the inner mid-turret to that fight. That's how long Smitty J managed to hold out for, and he damaged 3 members, taking them all down to half. And you can see just the rest of this fight was just splitting them up. It was just difficult for Knight to reconverge. Spirit and Gamsu had to go off to one side, and then you can see how Knight just corralled Fnatic into one spot. And it's like, well, someone's gonna die here, and it's just like, gotta draw straws, lads. Someone, unfortunately, everyone died, so
I'm pretty
didn't really work out.
Pretty sure there's only meant to be 1 short straw, not
3.
5.
Yeah.
Yellowstar, ooh, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. 700 damage is gonna secure his death. Gamsu is gonna try and help Spirit out, but his whole team is just dropping left and right. Giants are gonna find the game here. There's literally nothing that Fnatic can do. And as Giants, with 5 men strong, move on to the next itself in 36 minutes. Absolute demolition over Fnatic. Just looking at Knight's face there, he did the PogChamp. He was incredibly happy with how that game went. You see so often after these first games, people are just like, subdued faces, like, it went all right, but they absolutely crushed Fnatic. They can deserve to be happy.
Yes, they absolutely can deserve to be happy. Like, man, that is a convincing game out by Giants. Like, that's not even a close game.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I'm like, there's a chance this series is like 1-1. If Fnatic show up like yesterday, I think they can still take a game against Giants, but I was not expecting 16-3, no towers taken by Fnatic, 11 towers by Giants. crazy. Nearly 20,000 gold difference at the end.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. You call that like a Giants horizon or something? I don't know. It was absurd. But what went wrong for Fnatic? Was it draft? Was it in-game? Or was it both? It seemed more like execution in that game.
It was honestly like the very initial part of the game where Yellowstar's like, happy birthday, Max Law, in the tri-bush, and it doesn't go well. He gets taken out, then Spirit loses out in the jungle lake, then catch again, and Max Law just extends that lead. And what it did was it forced Fnatic not to want to group for a very long portion of that group. And they lost bot tower because Reckless goes mid alongside Cassiopeia, and then they end up diving mid, get another kill. Just a great setup from Giants.
Completely destroyed Stress. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at Giants' ridiculous victory in Game 1.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ridiculous victory. Up 10K at 25 minutes. They're 3-0 currently on the week. What is up with this Giants?
Yeah, what is up with Giants?
Well, to be honest,
excited.
it really
Really good.
is. It's very much about Max Law in that game. He got the early game niddly. He was able to get ganks in the bottom half of the map, so he set up the weak half. We've talked a lot about the Holy Trinity and how Knight and Smitty J tend to be the main carries of Giants. Yeah, and he felt like that in terms of the laning phase, they could hold their own, so he wanted to try and get the bottom lane ahead. He did just that. He put a lot of pressure down in the bottom half of the jungle, and we were listening. We were having a chat with Amazing earlier on about how if the Nidalee does get ahead, I mean, you can speak to how powerful a Nidalee is in the early game.
Yeah, Nidalee basically allows you to control the early game to a certain extent, where you get a 10 to 20 CS lead by default, and that's something that no champion in the game besides Nidalee can do. And if you pick anything into it that is not able to outscale her, I think it's really hard to do. And Elise kind of, if she contests the early game and gets an early lead against her, it's doable. But if she's unable to do it and unable to get ganks off, I think Nidalee just outscales her too.
So what was wrong with the Fnatic draft when it came down to playing against the Nidalee? Because you obviously were very vocal about that while we were watching the game.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they have the tools to deal with her in the early game, nor in the later stages of the game. Their bottom lane was gankable, which basically gives Nidalee so much leeway to operate on the map, because she's really bad at ganking solo lanes, but she's really good at interacting with the dual lane. So that's something she could do due to the draft. And if they wanted to contest Nidalee, they should have picked more assassin heavy, or at least something on the top lane that's able to interact with Nidalee, like an Irelia or something like that, whereas they opted for the Gnar. So they didn't give themselves anything on the map to get kills with, and basically set Nidalee up for a free early game, which she basically abused.
Yeah, she did, and it was giving up the kills to Giants. Let's take a look at one of the team fights here in the mid lane, because it was one that Fnatic actually tried to put something on the Rift, and it initially looked okay.
So this was actually a scenario where Max Law was being a little bit too over-aggressive on the Nidalee. He didn't quite expect the number of Fnatic members to collapse down onto him, and this is where things start to look a little bit bad for Giants. But keep your eyes on the positioning of Knight. He's actually making his way through the mid lane, setting up a really nice flank, and he's quickly able to get the smash down onto Febiven, and there's no way that he can respond to that. And honestly, if the collapse from Knight hadn't come out, this thing could have gone horribly wrong for Giants, but fortunately they were able to come out with a teamfight win.
Yeah, sadly Giants had 5 members in the game, and Knight was actually able to flank in this situation. I think Febiven made a mistake here in trying to go for the Victor. I mean, it makes sense, like the call, you see Victor flanking around, you all call 4-man collapse onto him with Mega Gnar as well, and like you burst him down, but he has cleanse. Where in front of Febiven was obviously the Braum that was very low. There was an AD carry as well, and Sunstar who couldn't get out of a Cassiopeia ulti. I feel like at that point you gotta just commit to what's in front of you, because there's no cleanse, obviously, on the side of either support or AD carry. But that's in the heat of the moment, and it's where we can sit here and make the calls, and it's very hard in game.
Yeah, it's easy to sit here and do that. Let's take a look at the last fight. I don't think you guys were totally sold on the fact that Giants would have won it easily, or not. The Cassiopeia, or?
No, I mean...
No. I felt like that at this point, Giants, things were looking a little bit dicey simply because Smitty J was pushing in the top. He drew all 5 members of Fnatic to the top half of the map. We're like, Giants, you have a Baron. Why are you trying to help out your now deceased top laner? But fortunately, they were able to split Fnatic up, and then you can see Knight is able to clean up the remnants, and Giants then suddenly have a numbers advantage. Just here, Fnatic seem to be unbeknownst as to what to actually do in this situation.
The draft, obviously, in this one, it's something that we have talked about for Fnatic a lot. Amazing. Do you think that it is just the drafts that are their biggest problem right now for Fnatic?
I mean, I don't know what their issues are, but I do think that I think that drafts are a bit cocky, if I may say, where I definitely think that they overvalue certain picks that are not really meta, like in the meta, or are not as strong in the meta as other picks, and they definitely go into the pick ban with a thought process that they are able to outplay the enemy on a mechanical level. And I don't think that's something you can rely upon every game. Especially in the USCS, where now every team seems to be kind of equal, I think it's not doable anymore.
I think one thing I've noticed from Fnatic drafting, all split long and also even last split, is a lot of focus on trying to secure a comfort pick for Gamsu. Very, very often they will like early pick for him, like early in the split, it was like they would take Maokai very early on. They would like first pick Gragas and like put him top lane, and you knew he was going top lane, like almost instantly, because then they would pick the jungler in the next rotation. It would be like, why are you showing it already? And also like Gnar in this one here in the first rotation, I think Gnar is a fine pick. He's a good pick in the meta, but there are clear counters to him, and there's a lot of things that can actually bully him around in laning phase. So when you have Nidalee first pick, like you talked about, Maurice, and you then have Gnar locked in already as your first rotation as Fnatic, you're kind of like just allowing Giants to have a winning top side of the map, which is what Giants like to play around, that Holy Trinity on top side. So definitely benefits Giants, and I think there's too much focus on getting a comfort pick for Gamsu. Is that because you can only play a few champions? Possibly, but it's something that has set Fnatic behind before.
It was a gift from Fnatic to Maxlor for his birthday, and he's also player of the game in this one. Fantastic. One thing is getting your hands on Nidalee, another thing is making plays with it, and we've mentioned them a lot of times in these things. What do you think of Maxlor overall? Amazing?
I think he's up and coming. I think he's definitely someone that has potential, but I do think that he's someone that works in a system, like, and he's not someone that could individually just carry a team straight up. And but that's something that the players that are rookies technically shouldn't be able to do anyway. So I wouldn't judge him for that. I do think that he fits his role pretty well, and he's definitely doing well on his Nidalee. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. We're going to do our best Zac impression and bounce, but don't go anywhere. Game 2 between Fnatic and Giants is coming up after the break. No.